Here we are in the Cloudflare Zero Trust configuration panel. We're going to add a tunnel. We'll use Cloudflare D, give our tunnel a name. And now I have some instructions here. We'll go ahead and copy the download link, bring it over to one of our servers, and download it here. And now that it's downloaded, we'll go ahead and run this command. This will install the service, and it provides a token so that it handles the authentication. And we can see that our tunnel is connected. Now we can add a public host name. So we'll go ahead and pick a subdomain. We'll just call it VMS1 and choose one of our domains. And then since our mobile server is currently using HTTP, we'll go ahead and put in the DNS name of our mobile server, which is VMS1 and port 8081. And this will redirect any connections to vms1.milestone.pstools.com to our machine, our virtual machine named VMS1 on port 8081. Here we are. We'll go ahead and log in. And the login was successful against the Cloudflare Tunnel address. However, you might notice that you don't have video. So if we take a look at the F12 developer tools console here, and just take a look at the console, we can see a stream of WebSocket connection errors. So it seems like there's something happening. We're getting an HTTP 400 when establishing a connection. Now, one of the potential causes of this is that we need to configure CORS, C-O-R-S. There's a specific HTTP header that we can configure in the mobile server configuration file. So we'll go ahead and open that file up in Notepad as administrator. And you can find it just by searching for header. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see this access control allow origin key, and it doesn't have a value by default. We're going to go ahead and put in our Cloudflare DNS name. Go ahead and save that and restart the mobile server service. Now, if we log in again, we have video. Next, we'll try enabling encryption using self-signed certificates on our Milestone servers and configure a second Cloudflare tunnel to connect to the mobile server using HTTPS. Let's start by generating a root certificate. And this is what we'll use to sign the certificates. We'll use an XProtect. Next, we'll generate a certificate for the local machine, VMS1. And this is signed by that root certificate. Now we have a second certificate for VMS2. We just change that DNS name and friendly name. Then we export that root certificate without the private key to a file. That way we can import it into the trusted root certificate store on this machine and other machines in the future. And finally, we can export the export the certificate for VMS2 to a password protected file. Now we have those two certificate files in our downloads folder. Now let's take a look at the local computer certificate store. There is VMS1 signed by our root CA. And you'll notice that it was trusted. And that's because the root CA is imported into the trusted root certificate store. All right. Now, since we have a recording server on this machine, we need to grant the service account for the recording server, which in this case is network service, permission to read the private key. Otherwise, we won't be able to see video once we enable encryption. And next, we'll copy the root certificate and the certificate for VMS2 over to that virtual machine. So we'll just place this in the downloads folder. And we can import our root certificate. So make sure to click local machine, and then we'll import it into the Trusted Root Certification Authorities store. And now any certificate that this machine encounters that is signed by that root will be trusted. Then we can import the VMS2 certificate to the local machine personal certificate store. And it's important that it goes into the personal store for the local machine. Otherwise, Milestone won't be able to find it because that's where it's going to look. And here is our root certificate and the certificate for VMS2. And since we have a recording server on this machine, we need to make sure to update the permissions for the private key and grant network service permission to read that key. All right, now let's add a second public host name to our existing Cloudflare tunnel. We're going to call it VMS2. And this time we're going to use HTTPS and provide the host name for VMS2 and use port 8082. That's the default HTTPS port. All right, our tunnel is set up. Let's jump over to our server and enable encryption just for the mobile streaming media certificate there. We'll go ahead and choose our self-signed certificate. All right, encryption is now enabled for the VMS2 mobile server. Now let's go ahead and verify that we have video using HTTPS, using the DNS name for our server directly. Okay, we're logged in. We should be able to pull up our camera. Now let's confirm that we have video using vms2.milestonepstools.com going through our Cloudflare tunnel. There we go. We have video. All right, one last test here. Let's change our mobile server to use port 443 for our HTTPS connections instead of the default 8082. Now that we've changed the setting on the mobile server, we need to go into our Cloudflare tunnel and just update the port number for VMS2. Now we should be able to log in. And we still have video. Let's take a look in the management client just to show we haven't actually changed any settings for the mobile servers in the management client. Here's VMS2. Let's take a look at the connectivity tab. I haven't changed any settings here. And we still have video. And same with VMS1. Never had to change any settings in the management client. Now, there are a huge number of variables in terms of network environments, security, and configuration options with regard to both XProtect and Cloudflare. But hopefully this demonstration of a relatively vanilla Cloudflare tunnel was helpful. We only demonstrated the most basic web client features, and it's possible some of the features like Smart Connect or bookmark sharing will require you to visit the connectivity tab in the management client.